Have you ever worked in a place where the values that people said they cared about didn't match what they were actually doing? You know the place, where leadership says that they care about integrity or collaboration, but then for some reason everyone seems to act like a bunch of hypocritical loners. That disconnect has a name, and it's called culture drift. And it's just that, it's where the culture has moved away from where it's supposed to be. That might sound harmless, but here's the truth. A misaligned culture is just a fast track to low employee morale, vanishing customer trust, and a failing business. If that sounds bad to you, then you're in luck. Today, I'm going to talk about what culture drift is, why it happens, how to spot it, and most importantly, what you can actually do about it. Culture drift moves really slowly. It's almost invisible at first. Think of it like a glacier. It's moving so slowly, it almost seems like it's not moving at all. But despite that, glaciers have the ability to change entire landscapes. Culture drift can do the same thing to your organization. And the longer you ignore it, the harder it's going to be to reverse, or even stop. Now, if you want to reverse or stop it, you need to know what you're looking for first. We already know that culture drift happens when the values that your organization says it lives by separates from what people are actually doing. You know the expression, actions speak louder than words? It doesn't matter what's written on your website or in your employee handbook. What matters is how your people are actually behaving. You can sing the praises of teamwork until the cows come home, but if you only praise individual achievement, teamwork goes out the window. And here's the thing, we hate hypocrites. It's biological, it's hardwired into us, and we don't care if the hypocrite is a person or an organization. And that's the dangerous thing about culture drift. It makes your company into a hypocrite. So how do you know if this is happening in your organization? Let's look at the signs. Culture drift is measurable, but it's tricky to detect unless you're paying attention and you know what you're looking for. The early warning signs usually look like this. People stop speaking up when they see problems. Apathy creeps in and staff start thinking, who cares? And priorities start feeling arbitrary, even contradictory. And so staff start picking and choosing which values they're going to follow. Your staff will likely continue to praise the values openly, but under pressure, they'll start to behave very differently. You might start seeing them cutting corners or making exceptions, and just this once, or as long as I don't get caught kind of attitude. By that point, your culture has already started to drift. And now you need to be concerned about losing people. Then your employees are going to start to disengage or leave entirely. And it's going to be your top people first because they tend to be the most sensitive to the hypocrisy. And once that happens, your best clients and customers won't be far behind them. At that point, it can be challenging to get your culture back on track. If you want to keep your people and your customers happy, you need to know what causes culture drift. And it's not what most people think. Culture is really just the sum of people's habits. Good habits reinforce culture, bad habits cause drift. And nothing forms bad habits faster than a scarcity mindset. That never enough mindset, never enough time, never enough staff, never enough money. Here's how scarcity thinking encourages culture drift. Loss of intentionality. When you're always stuck in crisis mode, it can feel like you're forced to settle for quick fixes. And when you're running from one fire to the next, you stop taking the time to think about your organization's culture. Compounding compromise. A client report is late, so you cut some corners. A staff member behaves poorly, but you overlook it because they're getting the work done. By themselves, each little compromise feels insignificant, but they add up. Erosion of staff investment. With a scarcity mindset, staff look a lot more like expenses than they do assets. And so recognition, coaching, and development all feel like luxuries. But remember, culture is just a sum of people's habits. So if undervaluing your employees becomes a habit, you can guess what happens to your culture. Feedback suppression. If no one feels like they have any time, they won't make time for reflection. Your staff won't surface problems if they don't have time to think about them. And likewise, if your managers don't think they have the time to listen, your staff won't bring the problems anyways. The signs of culture drift in your organization might be obvious, but if they don't get reported, they won't get fixed. And finally, metric fixation. Without intentionality, it's really easy to get stuck chasing numbers, and that creates a pressure to show results and focus on outputs, whether it's client served or revenue generated or whatever. But when you've got number tunnel vision, people stop caring about how those numbers get met, and achievement chasing takes over from principles. Now, before we get into how to fix this, I want to give you something that helps at the employee level. I've created a framework that helps managers diagnose and correct underperformance in their teams. It covers 5 key areas: direction, resources, input, visibility, and engagement. If you want to use the framework to spot and fix the root causes of stuff like culture drift, I've created a free guide. Link in the description. Okay, now let's talk solutions. Here's the good news. You can reverse culture drift, but it requires breaking out of the scarcity mindset. Here's how. Reclaim intentionality. Start by defining your cultural north. Where do you actually want to end up? Create some breathing room to talk about culture with your board, your management team, even your entire staff. You have to start having deliberate conversations about your organization's culture, and it can't feel like an afterthought, because that's how you got in this mess in the first place. Stop compromising and start looking for the habits that are pushing your culture off course. Show your people the impact of their choices. Use tangible examples. Even highlight your own mistakes and explain how you're going to do better next time. And remember to praise people when they make the value-aligned choices that you want. Reinvest in your staff. I can't say this enough. Recognition isn't optional. It's essential. And staff development isn't a luxury. It's what keeps your people strong enough to hold the culture together. Shift your mindset. Stop seeing staff development as an expense and start seeing it as an investment. And remember, saying thank you is always free. Reopen the feedback loops. Give your staff as many ways as possible to provide input, whether that's short surveys, check-ins, or even anonymous options. And more importantly, act on what you hear, or at the very least, explain why you can't. When your people see that their feedback matters, they're going to start bringing you issues when you still have a chance to fix them. Balance metrics with meaning. Don't just track the numbers. Numbers are good, but you need to add in qualitative measurements too, like staff morale, stakeholder engagement, and customer trust. You have to make sure that you're rewarding both the outcomes and how they're achieved. You don't want to end up like Wells Fargo. Link in the cards if you don't know what I mean. Replace scarcity with abundance thinking. You have to shift the story. Instead of saying, here's what we're missing, instead say, here's what we need to make this possible. And I can't stress this enough. You have to view your people as an appreciating asset and not an expense. If you're coming from a scarcity mindset, it'll feel a little risky at first, but it will attract better customers, better talent, and better opportunities. The challenge with culture drift is that it's slow. By the time you notice it, it's probably already done some damage. But the flip side is, if you start making small, intentional changes, you can redirect your culture before it reshapes your organization into something you don't want. Now, if you want some case studies on what good and bad culture shifts look like, check out this video. You'll see how metric fixation cost Wells Fargo billions of dollars, and how intentionality saved Microsoft from stagnation. And don't forget, grab your free drive guide in the description.